Good morning, folks. This is Farmer JP recording on the morning now of Friday, the 19th day of June, the one day before the summer solstice of summer 2020, the 19th of June, 2020, and it's right now, it's about 28 minutes before 12 noon. Please bear with me. I have several important items to go over today. I'm recording the 7th in this season's series of Farmer JP with helpful tips on gardening for your home garden and your farming. So it's John Pettipas, Farmer JP. Welcome back to all you wonderful folks out in farming land, gardening country, and all over the YouTube system. First of all, I want to give a shout out here. I got several shout outs this morning. It's Dame Vera Lynn. Is this from last night watching the BBC World News America? Dame Vera Lynn, gone to heaven at age 103. The last public performance she did was for the Queen when she was 78 years old, and her voice was as strong and as beautiful, as intense as ever when she was 78, and 25 years later, God granted her a lovely full life, 103 years old. Here we have from this morning's Halifax Herald, the local provincial daily paper, and it's Vera Lynn, voice of hope in wartime. Britain dies at 103. God bless her heart. To mark her 100th birthday in 2017, a giant image of Lynn as a young woman was projected on the white cliffs of Dover, and a new album was released. And she was back in headlines back in April when Queen Elizabeth gave an address, and she said, quote, telling the country, we'll meet and we will meet again. We will meet again. I quote, we will meet again. So Dame Vera Lynn, 103 years old, hope. We all need hope, and we can never say thank you enough. Now Vera Lynn is singing in heaven with the angels. This lady that was so gutsy and so inspirational, and morale in time of war. Morale is so important. And she kept the soldiers, God bless their heart, we salute each and every one of them. Those in heaven, those still here on earth with us. They're getting elderly, we can never thank them enough. And the morale of the citizens of the world. They fought Hitler. This wonderful lady, Vera Lynn, I know somebody whose mother named her after Vera Lynn. That's the one. Vera Lynn, her father, I believe, was a veteran of World War II, and her uncle certainly was. Vera Lynn. So we can never thank them enough. As I repeat, she's singing in heaven now with the angels, and she was such a boost morale. Until we meet again, and the white cliffs of Dover. Okay, beautiful, a wonderful, wonderful lady. Secondly, I want to point out to you that this week we have graduation week. And just before I get to graduation week, I want to give a shout out, talking about being thankful, I want to give a shout out to Jean-Marc LeBlanc, a new subscriber from yesterday, Thursday the 18th, and to lots more. I thank each and every one of you new subscribers we've got since Sunday afternoon. We want to thank each and every one of you greatly. It's because of you wonderful subscribers and viewers that make this channel, the John Pettipas YouTube channel, possible. I thank each and every one of you folks profusely. Bless your hearts, all of you. I want to give a shout out today to students graduating this year. But before that, I want to give a shout out specifically. There'll be no students for the teachers to teach without this wonderful gentleman, George Baxter. George Baxter, of just outside of Antigonish, and he's with his grandchildren here. Excuse me a second. His grandchildren, and a fantastic gentleman. He was with the school board at bus driving for 50 years. 10 times 5. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. 50 years he was with the school board. And a wonderful, wonderful, they gave him a special, this was back in February, in the casket, February 12th of this past year, and I saved this for late in the year, the last ride George Baxter and his grandchildren on the last day as he drives school with the bus with the Strait Regional School Board for Education. His career spanned more than 50 years. A wonderful, wonderful, fantastic gentleman. And another wonderful, very long term is a lady that he's in Antigonish County area, and he's out in the Forks, I believe. And he drives in school in Antigonish, most recent runs. There's a lady down in Waikagama, the Waikagama Education Center. The lady's name is Sadie Fee, F-E-E, and she was the secretary at the Waikagama High School from P to 12, and now it's from P to 6. And she's for 48 years. So there'll be no students in school, and the schools this gentleman went into were very few, a lot less. It wasn't for George never failing to get there to get that bus and the students to school and back home again safely. And Sadie Fee, and they tell me that she knew every kid in that school, every child, every precious child, every student, she knew them by name. And so we salute them both. We salute the soldiers, we salute and pray for Vera Lynn now in heaven singing with the angels, and gentlemen like Mr. George Baxter, I'm told it wasn't a dry eye in auditorium in that Friday afternoon when they made him a special surprise presentation. Just a fantastic guy. Loved what he's doing, and people loved him. And Miss Sadie Fee and Waikagama, Inverness County, Nova Scotia, and Cape Breton. 48. Between the two of those fine folks, almost 100 years combined service. Fantastic people. So again, a shout out to George Baxter, and 50 years, Sadie Fee, 48 years. Fantastic folks. Next item I want to point out is that shout out to all the high school graduates. You're graduating, you've learned a lot in school, you learned a lot from the teachers, you learned a lot from your students, you learned a lot on your own. We learned through the dean of Harvard Business School once said, if the truth be told, over half of what the students learn at Harvard Business School, one of the most famous business schools in the world, and this is the dean of the business school speaking, so he's not making regulatory comments about the school. He made the comment, if the truth be told, over half of what our students learn is from the fellow students from other parts of the world, other parts of the country, continent, and from speaking to one another, from reading. So never stop learning. The graduation, we're proud of you, and very proud of you. We salute you all. But you got to read, you got to speak to people. That's why you can only do so much work at home. You got to get out about a water cooler, photocopier, and that's how ideas are formed. And in life, have faith in your education, but you must have faith in God. The late Lawrence Welk, who I mentioned in my opening series of Farmer J.P., he was a famous man of music, nice smile, wonderful determination, very hard worker. Lawrence Welk, and I thank the wonderful lady who lent me her late husband's Dakota. He was from North Dakota, Dakota coveralls. These are wonderful. They served me well, and I thank this wonderful lady. Thank you very much, Angie. Now, you take in Lawrence Welk, and he was not cynical. He was a very positive, upbeat man. But he said one time in his life, and you read the book Wonderful, Wonderful, Lawrence Welk. Wonderful, wonderful, he said with his lovely Midwestern, North Dakotan accent, because German ancestry. Wonderful, wonderful, he said. And he made the comment that one time his band quit him. They said he talked funny and he'd never amount to anything. I'm going to repeat that. The band members had the gall, the audacity to tell him he talked funny and he'd never amount to anything. I wonder where they were as his career blossomed in Lawrence Welk Champlain music. He became one of the most successful, most well-known band leaders and businessmen. Bob Hope was extremely successful, a comedian. He was great for the troops. He went everywhere. It's Vietnam, Korea, everywhere is entertaining the troops. Fantastic guy. Gene Audrey of country music fame. He was extremely successful businessman. G-E-N-E Audrey. Extremely successful businessman. And wonderful entertainer, number one. He was a successful businessman because he was a wonderful entertainer. And Lawrence Welk. Those three, they stand out. So I wonder where the one. So he had to start all over again. And he was not cynical of people, but he made the comment, in life, trust in people encourage people, but ultimately only put your full faith and confidence in God Almighty, because everybody will fail you sometime. We had an incident in this diocese recently. The bishop can fail you, come up with some very strange decisions. The bishop can fail you. So it doesn't matter if it's a priest, a minister, rabbi, a man, a gospel preacher, Catholic bishop. All we're mere mortals, with imperfect mere mortals. Only place your full faith and trust in God, and that's about the best advice I can give you. Now, I'm going to get back to Farmer JP episode 7. So again, we salute Vera Lynn. We salute Mr. George Baxter and the wonderful Miss Sadie Fee. And, of course, all you students, you've worked long and hard, 13 years to get this point, and it's wonderful. We congratulate each and every one of you, every girl and boy, young man, young woman, on your graduation. And your parents for encouraging you, and all of you. Thank you. Well done. Well done, all of you. I mentioned last week I was going to plant some cantaloupe seeds on the windowsill and boxes. And I did, and I watered. It was a warm day yesterday, and I don't know if you can see this. You see them in the camera? There's 3 of them come up. They germinated overnight, literally. When you have heat and moisture and good soil, this is the stuff from Boyle's farm up the road, their compost, and it's done wonders. So these, and once they get a little bit bigger, one more leaf in them will be going out in the garden and hopefully produce nice grapefruit, baseball-size, sweet granite melons. Okay, that point I want to make there. Lots of other stuff we can still plant. I said we were going to talk about more delicate stuff. This is not delicate turnips, but for some reason turnips, they're hardy. They'll take a frost. People say with turnips, you plant them about the 4th of July. Old Glory, Independence Day. Canada, up here in Canada, 4th of July. A lot of people wait till the 4th of July to plant their turnips. And Sweet York, they take 120 days, 122 days actually it says. So means you plant them 4th of July to August, September, October, November. You're really not going to take them out of the ground till about Remembrance Day after Halloween. So but they get a frost and they taste better and they keep well. The Scotch like them, the French like them, Newfoundlanders love them. Turnips a good thing. And one of my great neighbors at the road, James, tells me, James Nellen, he takes us after he's tinning them out. He takes the ones that are too thick and he transplants them. And he can get a heck of a lot of turnip out of one package of seeds from the Halifax Seed Company. And parsnips. I believe I mentioned them a couple of times, but parsnips is something you can actually leave in the ground over winter and dig them in the spring. And dig them in the fall, but take them out of the ground in the spring again. We take there's stuff that I didn't point out. Lettuce, kale, I mentioned it certainly many times, Swiss chard and spinach. In fact, I had my first feed of spinach last night, and it was good. And I think it was out there for about 50 days, and it's good stuff. Like Popeye the sailor. Big, strong muscles. Anyway, they take in the spinach and plants early, but lettuce is susceptible because of high water content. You can plant lettuce, you can plant repeated lettuce. A lot of people plant leaf lettuce. Head lettuce may be a little bit harder to grow. Plant leaf lettuce. Peppers, I didn't mention peppers. Green peppers, red peppers, plant those. Your tomatoes are out now. All these sorts of delicate things. We've had a very hot stretch of weather here, and it's according to the newspaper this morning, the weather report at 6 o'clock a.m. news, there's going to be hot for next week. So you can maximize your garden. You can maximize all your hard work and efforts in your garden you put in by weeding and watering. I point out, maximize all your hard work and efforts by weeding and watering. And please be generous. There's a lady down the road. She sings in church. She's our one lady choir, Anne-Marie Long, and she's a wonderful lady and a wonderful guitar player and a beautiful songstress. She always picks the right songification. Does fantastic. Showed to Anne-Marie. But the point I want to make about this is, she told me one time her late father, Frank and Mary, planted a big garden inside a hill down the road beyond the brook here, tracked by a railroad crossing. He was a railroad man all his life, and he'd give it all away. So be generous. There's fun. Keep some for yourself. Enjoy it yourselves. But nobody ever went wrong in his life with being generous. He planted a beautiful garden. You name it, Frank would have it. And his late wife, Mary, and himself, they're all in heaven now. God's gardens in heaven, he's in. I can repeat that. Frank and Mary Verger up in heaven in the gardens in God's heaven. And they used to come in the store, buy seeds in spring, strawberry plants, what have you, and they were the nicest people to serve. They'd bought the car from the local merchant, Harold Casher, was big black car, didn't have many miles on it, a big Pontiac, and they come down and get their fertilizer and their seed potatoes and their seed and onion sets. They were just lovely people to serve. And he was going home to work and plant their garden, get it all organized out, planned out, and as Anne-Marie said, he'd give it all away. But he was a happy guy, and he died of, what did he die of? No, he died happy anyway. And they raised a big, wonderful family. I don't know exactly how many, but there's a lot of them. They're from Windsor, Ontario, to Trackety, Nova Scotia, to daughter-in-laws, the other side of Harbour and Trackety, you name it. A big, wonderful family, and he was generous. And nobody ever went wrong with being generous. This is a piece from the recent, again, local provincial paper. Nikki's picks the best herbs and pots. And she talks about, here, let's take a look. We'll put my trusty spectacles aside here. Greek basil plants in tight mounds and tiny leaves, but don't let the small stature fool. This foliage is packed with delicious basil flavor. Curly parsley and chives and in Greek oregano. So there's all kinds of herbs. That's something I never covered. Lots of herbs you can do too. With that, I'm running out of time. This video, I want to thank you, each and every one of you, for all you've done. One more point I want to make. In communist Russia, we learned this in social studies. Communist Russia, they used to have these collective farms, and they were state-owned farms, and people didn't have private ownership. That's what communism's all about, and it's wrong. But they were allowed small little plots, and those small little plots of fresh fruit and vegetables, it produced something like half the country's fresh fruit and vegetables in communist Russia was these small little plots, because they were small but intensive cultivation. People have motivation. So I repeat my mantra, there's a tremendous amount of stuff you can grow in a small plot. And again, I caution you with the hot weather we're having, please maximize all your hard work and efforts by weeding and watering. Get that hoe out and go, like I said, ho, ho, ho. Ho, 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 and get the watering can and water it even. You're watering tomato plants, don't water on top, it makes a little bit of virus. Water at the bottom and water it evening once the sun's gone down. It'll sit there all night and it'll do the plants some good. And next day, they get sunshine, grow, photosynthesis, the miracle of photosynthesis, and you have a beautiful, bountiful garden. So I wish you all a beautiful, bountiful garden, and I thank you for bearing with me. There's a lot of shout-outs. We covered, as I say, Dame Vera Lynn at 103, bless her heart, and all our veterans. She gave us motivation and hope for the future. The wonderful George Baxter, 50 years of lovingly taking our students to schools, and Sadie Fee at Central Office, and Wycogma Education Center, looking after everything from runny noses to shoelaces to forgot lunches to you name it. Just when keeping the teachers and vice principal organized at the same time, all in a day's work. We saluted those 200, and all you students, we congratulate you, we're proud of you, and keep on learning. Every day is a new day. It's a bad day if we don't learn something new. And every day in God's world, we can learn something new. And all you wonderful gardeners, I want to thank you for tuning in this year on my new sub-series of Farmer JP. This is my 7th and final series for this year, 2020, on the Farmer JP. But I'll be back every week on my regular John Pettipas YouTube channel. And I thank all you wonderful subscribers. Press the little subscribe button at the bottom of the screen. It helps a great deal. Doesn't cost you a cent. Spread the word on social media. Spread around like the honeybees out around the lilac trees, Indian pears, and choke cherries, the apple blossoms, strawberry blossoms of the fields and farms in Nova Scotia, orchards, and wild blueberry fields a couple of weeks ago. Until next time, this is Farmer JP, wishing all you wonderful folks all the best, God bless, and a happy, productive summer gardening. Thank you very much. Bye for now.